Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wrestling Republic podcast. I am, as always, joined by Karl Kinahan, the man who once shared a pint with Keith Lee, trained by Finn Balor, and once, as he recently told us, wrestled Becky Lynch in training. Right. How are you today, Karl?
Beat Becky Lynch. Beat Becky Lynch in training.
Didn't just wrestle. Beat.
But how are you today, Karl? I'm a bit sad, as you know why, probably from the result of last night, wasting me life watching that game, but I'm in good form, not too bad.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I had to feel that pain of losing to Villarreal a few weeks ago myself. It's not great. But anyway, we are here to talk about wrestling today, and we've got some huge news coming out of All Elite Wrestling this afternoon. The first bit of news is, quote unquote, confirmed on the AEW Unrestricted podcast with Tony Khan, Double or Nothing and the AEW Dynamite post show will begin a new era in AEW. New signings and big surprises confirmed. Now, they do seem to say this every pay-per-view. And of course, Cody in his interview Q&A thing, which was just live a few minutes ago, he was talking about like new graphics or something, and he didn't clarify what about. And you saw when they moved to TBS though, and then of course they're not moving to TBS for another well over 6 months. So I don't know why this is a new era. I mean, I guess you could say, because the crowd's back, but the crowd's not even back for like another month or so. And yeah, so I don't particularly know why this is, and I feel like it might once again be Tony Khan overhyping something. But who do you think will show up, Karl?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of fact just Tony Khan overhyping stuff as well. But the only thing I can think of now is with Andrade, maybe to hype up the Kenny match in August, possibly. But even then, they already are kind of in both to AAA as well, so it's not like something new and exciting because we're kind of just waiting for that type of thing to happen. But I think AEW are just overhyping their pay-per-views now at this point with big surprises and stuff. Like, it's okay having big surprises, possibly an All Out or Double or Nothing once a year, but they seem to do it every pay-per-view, and it's just going to lower people's expectations and really damage the excitement of it. Because if you do it every pay-per-view, you're taken away from the excitement of it because it just happens all the time.
Yeah, I agree absolutely then. We said this last time as well, right? When they made that announcement, the last pay-per-view about Christian Cage, even though he's a fantastic signing, the way they did it by announcing it beforehand, 90% of people weren't happy with the fact that it was Christian. People expected someone else. People were expecting Brock Lesnar for the most part. And to be honest with you, it'll probably, I think the only person who could possibly, begin a new era would be someone along the lines of Brock Lesnar or John Cena, neither of which are going to happen.
Daniel Bryan, possibly. I don't know.
That's actually a very good shout. That was not one I was thinking. I mean, yeah, Daniel Bryan perhaps, but WWE are very confident they're going to sign him again. That's not really an issue. And if he was to go elsewhere, apparently it would just be for one last run where he do matches and certain promotions rather than, an actual run. But maybe he does set up a match with Kenny Omega or whatever for the first live show back or something. That would be, that would be good. But I still can't really see that happening. Because I don't think he'd want to disrespect WWE like that. Because no way, would they take that very well. But something interesting related to all of this I wanted to talk about is that John Cena has a show on TBS, the same network, which of course AEW is moving to. Now I want to clarify something first. John Cena will not wrestle for AEW. He will not. He will not betray WWE like this. But it's entirely possible Turner Media will be trying to, push him in that direction. He won't do it, but I'm absolutely certain there's going to be some concern in WWE about this after the Snoop Dogg thing. And of course, they did not take lightly to that. Snoop Dogg confirmed it, that they did not take lightly to that. First, people thought that, oh, that's just, some rumor online. No, Snoop Dogg confirmed it. They were not happy about it. They've squashed the beef between them now, and he will be in WWE's upcoming video game. But it shows that WWE aren't necessarily happy with, that they're people who are associated with them going, to AEW without them, authorizing it, essentially. Even someone like Snoop Dogg who had no contract ever with WWE. But he's just, he's always done Sasha Banks' theme song, appeared at a few shows, and that's that. But what are your thoughts, Carl?
John, I understand, yeah, but at the end of the day, like, it is just a network deal, I suppose. Like, you can't really stop TBS from promoting it. And the thing is, I said WWE would probably try and get the show stop being advertised during maybe the AEW's time frame, maybe, just so they're not linked in together. But yeah, and I think WWE, once you're kind of with the Snoop Dogg situation, they're probably, because he's the Hall of Famer, they feel like, oh, that's only wrestling promotion, he can't ever be as WWE. But
Yeah.
I feel like they own people sometimes,
Yeah. And back to what you said about who it could be, Andrade is pretty much the only person it could be. Because everyone else had nearly everyone else had a 90-day no compete clause, and any of the big names had that, apart from Andrade. So he's the only possible name, could show up. There was rumors that he was reluctant at the time with the company or whatever. Maybe he has now. So hyping something like this, Andrade's not a big enough name to,
Yeah, I was
begin a
thinking the
new
same thing. I
era.
don't want to say it, but yeah.
Yeah, he
I was thinking the
isn't.
exact same thing. Like,
he is a
yeah,
phenomenal
okay.
talent, but he's not, he's not quite there yet. And Pierre Shearer said, WWE need to calm down a bit if there's a problem within higher ups of John Cena being advertised for programming with nothing to do with AEW. Yeah, no, I don't think they have an issue specifically with that him being on the network. I think it's just that after Turner persuaded Snoop Dogg to go, on an AEW show to promote the TBS show, maybe they're worried that, they're going to try and get John Cena to do a similar thing, which of course would not be remotely good in the slightest for WWE, and that one is understandable, but they have nothing to worry about. Cena is loyal as they come. But yeah, the next thing I wanted to talk about was that Cody Rhodes, and I just referenced this a minute ago, Cody Rhodes, in his press interviews he's doing this afternoon, has spoken about the rumor that there is heat among the executive vice presidents in All Elite Wrestling. And there's been rumors the last few weeks that I don't know where they originally came from. We did talk about it, but I can't remember where the original source who came up with this. But it's basically all false. There is no heat between them. They are, and sorry, the original report stated as well that they are not on talking terms. And he came out today and said that, as quote unquote sexy as that sounds, it is not true at all. He's they talk to each other every day. They're supporting each other with the projects they want to individually do, and there's no heat between them basically. And he didn't, it's entirely possible still they're not as close as they used to be. He didn't comment on that. And the fact he didn't comment on that hints maybe they aren't as close, but they're still on talking terms. They're still fine. And yeah, so that's a rumor killer essentially. Are you surprised by this, or did you just think all along it wasn't true?
They're on a wrestling show together. Of course, they're going to talk. Like, you can't run a show and not talk to each other about how long you're going to get and times and storylines and stuff. So I knew the talking things was a lot of BS, but they probably have fallen out. Like, you're going to fall. Running a wrestling company is hard. You're going to fall out. You're going to make up. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh. You're going to have ups and downs making a wrestling company. Sure. So I'm sure they fall out at some stage, but I don't think it's as big deal as I'm about to be.
Yeah. No, I that's my view, bang on basically. And some people in the comments aren't too happy with Cody Rhodes, and of course he's been getting a lot of controversy recently. And of course we spoke last week, his promo on Dynamite, people did not like at all. It went down terribly. And he's now come out and said that he spent weeks working on that promo, just like he does with all his promos. He has noted though that he originally said he did a focus group that he works on his promos with. But that was a report that was earlier today. He's now confirmed that he didn't understand what a focus group was. And yeah, it was basically miscommunication. What he actually does is he sends a voice memo to some legends, basically, asking what their thoughts are on the promo before he does it. But yeah, that's, what did you think of the promo, Carl? I don't think I asked you this last week.
It's a hard one. He delivered it well, obviously. Cody's a good promo, but it's I agree. I think his intentions were good. I don't think he's a bad dude. He just said the wrong things at the wrong time. It's not the time for All American versus the UK and try and get the American crowd over with him. It's not that type of time to have a promo. And I genuinely only think the reason he did that, he only did that promo so he could be the American dream for one night for his dad. I think to fully only believe that's one of the only reasons he did it. And I find it very funny. He's doing an anti-racist promo by being racist to a UK man. Like, it's kind of hypocritical in another sense.
Yeah, it is. It was weird, right? It was weird the approach he took to this, and especially when they're trying to, go into the UK market and everything, and they want to run a show here in 2021. Still, that's still the plan. And the approach they took was to be, not racist towards the UK. I don't want to put it as bluntly as
that's a bad word for me. Yeah, bad word for me.
Yeah. But it was. It wasn't great, and I'm not gonna. Nobody from the UK watched that and was like, "Yes, Cody Rhodes, what a great guy." They just thought you just insulted our country. The point you gave as to why America was good. The UK also has all those things, and you just unnecessarily brought social issues into a promo which didn't need social issues to begin with, kind of. And Anthony Ogogo as well. He's been doing a bunch of great, charity work and everything recently. So, I think because the AEW hardcore love Cody, I think the crowd will still be behind him at Double or Nothing. But if this was a big arena, I actually think the crowd might be behind Ogogo because, yeah. And Pierce has said here, he's allowed to insult England. So yeah, he's of course that's why he's Scottish. I was thinking for a second, why is he saying that? There we are, makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great promo by any. Actually, I'll say this. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. The way he delivered that promo, I thought was really good. It was just the context of the promo was not. It was not. It was. Brought things into it he didn't need to bring into it, created controversy and created a divide in a time where we do not want a divide in the slightest. And it's not a time to do, an all-American, patriotic gimmick as such. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. And the next bit of news we have today is that Tom Phillips has been released from the WWE. And this comes just, less than 24 hours after WWE announced that Jimmy Smith, who is a former Bellator and UFC as well as American Ninja Warrior commentator, will be taking over the lead Raw announce role from Adnan Virk, who took the role only 7 weeks ago from Tom Phillips. And of course, Adnan Virk seems like a lovely guy, but he was not good for the role. He didn't know what he was talking about half the time. He was put into an impossible situation. And it ended the way we knew it was going to end, to put it bluntly. And yeah, so now we got a combat sport commentator taking over. Not one which watches wrestling. Well, at least in 2019, he said he hasn't watched wrestling for years. So maybe he has got back into it since, but we don't know that yet. But at least he has a combat sports background, so there's some hope there. What do you think about Tom Phillips being released?
That's I don't like it because Tom Phillips was very, very good. Like, he did his job very well in Raw. Maybe he wasn't. Obviously, he wasn't. I'm not going to say he was amazing because I don't think he was amazing. But he's very good at a specific role, and he fulfilled it well. And I definitely a lot to offer. But I think it's the fact that they let Tom go and now putting Jimmy on, who arguably knows nothing about wrestling, is a bit of a, I don't know, it doesn't sit well because you have a perfectly good announcer there. And like, I know Jimmy Smith because I obviously follow the UFC and stuff. He's a great analysis on the UFC, but he watches MMA his whole life. Of course, he's going to be expert on it. But be
Yeah.
interesting to know, can he transfer that to something he hasn't particularly kept up with since he was a kid, you know? Where I feel
Yeah.
Tom Phillips has been more steady pair of hands, you know?
And the thing is, right, going from MMA to WWE, going from MMA to a wrestling promotion, WWE is probably the worst one to go to because it is sports entertainment. If you went to Major League Wrestling, for example, where it is very sports based, he'd probably be fine there. But yeah, in WWE, if he has, maybe he has gotten back into it in recent years, but if he's not, then he's going to be in some real trouble very early on. But Tom Phillips is arguably the best announcer WWE have. And he was doing a great job on Raw. He was, and people say at times he was quite basic. While he was, that's kind of what you need for a lead announcer. And he called the action well. He got you excited at times, and I don't understand why he was replaced in that role. He was doing it, he was doing it well, and as soon as I understand, maybe they wanted to try something new with Adnan Virk and put Tom Phillips in the backstage role he was in. Okay. But then as soon as the Adnan Virk, as soon as Adnan Virk decided they wanted to leave the promotion, and they decided to hire someone new, this was 24, it wasn't 24 hours actually at the time. It was the same day they announced Jimmy Smith was the day they released Tom Phillips. Why? Why did you hire someone who's who's not proven in wrestling when you have somebody else who is proven and he's done it consistently? I don't understand the logic behind it at all. Yeah, I really don't. What were your thoughts on Tom Phillips as an announcer overall?
As you said, he was very, very good. Like, it's hard to judge commentators in WWE as it is because they're so robotic and because they have like producers in their ear literally calling everything for them. So they're so robotic as it is. But I think the best commentators in WWE are Corey Graves because you feel like he believes what he's saying, and Tom Phillips is up there as well, you know. And
Yeah,
Michael Cole, obviously, when he wants to be, Michael Cole's the best commentator in the world. It's just WWE restrict him down so much because I remember it was the NXT UK tournament a while ago, and geez, Michael Cole was amazing in that because he didn't have Vince McMahon in his ear telling him what to say every 5 minutes. And I think Tom
yeah,
Phillips is up there, is really good as well. It's just WWE really restricts you down to have no personality as a commentator.
yeah. No, I agree absolutely with that statement. And yeah, I meant lead commentator as well. Otherwise, it undoubtedly would be Corey Graves. And
Yeah.
as Pierce has just pointed out, Pat McAfee as well. He's done a fantastic job so far on SmackDown. Really entertaining. But the next bit of news, which I wanted to move on to, and I think you want to talk about this, Carl, is the Will Ospreay news. So, do you want to inform everyone what's happened today?
Yeah, basically, Will Ospreay had a neck injury, and it looks like to be a fusion in his neck. But unfortunately, it looks like the fusion is he's getting an MRI, so it's not confirmed. But the doctors are afraid that the fusion is going to be all the way down his spine, which could be very, very severe and maybe career ending. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's very, very scary right now. Now, Will Ospreay has noted that he wants to be back by the end of the year. His career's in question, and he's trying to focus on getting back by the end of the year. It's worrying. I think he'll be back because, truth be told, with medical advances today and the fact he's so young, even if he needs to take out a bit of time, it's almost definitely not as bad as the Hiromu one. He's already back now, but he'll be out for a long time. Almost undoubtedly now. And so hopefully he will see him back in the ring again soon. It's really disappointing as he was having the peak of his career. He was one of the best in the world. And he was looking, safer than ever for the, most part. And of course, he survived all that time doing all the crazy stuff he was doing. He's still doing crazy stuff, but he toned it down slightly and put it, was more sensible about it, which was, better. And then this is when he gets injured. Now, of course, then maybe the neck injury was, from before, and what happened against Shingo accelerated it. but it's really disappointing to see. And of course, New Japan still don't know what they're going to do about the new champion. Okada is the heavy favorite to win it. Shingo wants another match, which doesn't make too much sense, even though I love Shingo. But in kayfabe, it makes zero sense at all. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is this past week on SmackDown, we saw a call up, and this call up was make sure I'm getting the name out here. Rick Boogs. They've changed his name 20 billion times in WWE. I can't keep up. But I debuted alongside Nakamura. He played his entrance theme. It was a good debut. And he is someone like Elias. I say this. His gimmick is very like Elias. The only difference is he has an electric guitar, so they have to be a bit careful there. But as long as they differentiate it enough and have them separate brands, it'll be fine. But I want to see a feud between them two eventually. But he debuted, and he suits the main roster a lot better than NXT, just like Elias did, and just like a few others have as well. So I'm all for this. Hopefully he does well. I'm hoping for the best for him. But the interesting thing is, according to multiple sources, more call-ups are coming from both the NXT and NXT UK brand. Now, who do you think these people are, Carl?
I think Finn Balor's definitely one after the cross, and I think he did an interview the other day, spoke about he wants to main roster return. I think that Finn Balor's when, not if, you know. I don't know. I'm the type of person, I don't think it'll happen, but I'm really I love Johnny Gargano, I love Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole and all, but there's not a whole lot more from doing NXT. I believe Johnny is in a triple threat number one contender match on Tuesday with Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, and I can't remember the third person, but I just don't see Gargano winning that. Kind of think, where does Johnny go from here? He's accomplished it all in NXT so many times. He's only two-time North American champion, multiple time tag champion. I think it's just time for a change for Johnny, and I won't be opposed for Johnny to turn face and go to Raw. Like, Raw is so desperately needed for baby faces. But Johnny Gargano is arguably one of the best baby faces in the last decade.
Yeah.
But I won't be opposed Gargano being a call-up, but I don't know.
Yeah, and interestingly, a report came out today by WrestleVote stating that the Raw creative team really want Finn Balor. They badly want him, but NXT kind of don't want to give him up. The tweet made it sound like the plan was not for him to go up yet until there was a very good plan in place for him. And Piers has just asked you, Carl, if Johnny goes up, what do you do with the way?
Well, maybe bring the way. I think Austin's too young. He's too green a little bit to go up. So maybe not split them up, but kind of just go separate ways, if you will. Just Johnny probably says to him, I need a new challenge. I've done everything in NXT, and he can kind of say to Austin, now it's your time. You go make a name for yourself like I did. You take my brand over type of thing.
Yeah. And of course, Indy Hartwell, they're kind of already splitting her up as well from it with the Index relationship. NXT recently has become a lot more sports entertainment like, which I'm not complaining about really, but considering as just a wrestling show, and to be honest, it's even an issue now. And Dave Meltzer noted this yesterday actually, as a wrestling show, NXT is fantastic. But nowadays, being just a wrestling show isn't good enough, really. You need to have stars. You be invested into it a bit more. And NXT has a bit of a stale feel to it at times, despite the in-ring action being probably the best weekly show in the world right now. And of course, AEW have done that well, right? They've done multiple angles well. I say this, they haven't for Double or Nothing, but we'll get into that. In a bit. But AEW have done it well, and of course, for the most part, that's what the main roster does well. But recently, they seem to be going down the approach NXT, going a little bit more sports entertainment-like, and I'm not against that at all. And Pierce has said, feel like it's consistently been great recently. And yeah, I'm not saying it's been a bad show by any stretch. Wrestling-wise, phenomenal. but it's just, you can see the viewership's going down every week. They're not keeping people invested in the slightest, and it's not like the demo's going down as well. The key demo, 18 to 49 or whatever it is, that's coming down massively now to the point where Impact Wrestling has 50% of the 18 to 49 demo NXT has. And of course, NXT has quite a lot more views. So it's showing NXT is losing young viewers more and more by the week. And yeah, that's not great. What have your thoughts been on NXT out of late?
Since Vengeance Day, it's improved a lot better. I think since Vengeance Day is a great takeover, and since then it's been improving. But for me, NXT has never been the same height as since it went to the USA Network. It's just since it went to the USA Network, it was good for the first few weeks, and then it dropped down so much in quality. Like, it's still a really, really great wrestling show, probably the best weekly wrestling show we're watching. And it's still not as good as it was in 2018. You know, that kind of way. But they're just, I think they're the hardest thing ever. It was easy to film an hour show, do it in the one day, because then you can kind of keep the storylines going because you had no choice because you've already filmed all these matches for the next few weeks, and when they used to do tapings, you know, that long-term storybook telling was a lot easier. But I think now they're kind of mixing the matching based on the views and what's going up and what's going down, rather than just trying to focus on themselves. But I think when NXT just focused making the best product they can do, they're always the best. But now they're trying to focus on making the best product for people, and it never works out because everybody's different and we all like different things.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there. Now, let's move on from NXT to NXT's arch rivals. No, let's move on now to AEW Double or Nothing, which is this Sunday on pay-per-view. Actually, I have forgotten to say one thing before we move on to this, and as I said the word Sunday, it came back to me. Some news this week is, not this week, breaking news basically from WrestleVote is that SummerSlam will be this year taking place from Las Vegas on a Saturday night. Well, that's what it's planned to be anyway, as of right now. And of course, it's huge, as WWE have not held a pay-per-view on a Saturday outside of NXT, or even as I don't think in history they've held one of the big four pay-per-views on a Saturday. This is huge news, and it's great for us international fans, as it means that, you know, we can watch it live, you know, then just sleep on Sunday and then be ready for work or whatever on Monday. It's perfect. However, AEW, who had the right formula doing pay-per-views on Saturdays, have decided to move to Sundays now. And this Sunday on pay-per-view, AEW will be presenting Double or Nothing. And there's been a lot of criticism about how the show's been built, but we're going to run through the card right now. On the pre-show, announced today, Serena Deeb will be defending her NWA Singles Women's Championship against Riho. Who do you see walking out of this, Carl?
I think the best match on the show is probably on the pre-show, and be a great match. I think Deeb probably retain, because I don't think NWA would like a title change on a pre-show of AEW's main show, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, mind you, the title's changed hands. God, actually, only once on AEW TV, but yeah. Wait, actually, was it AEW where it changed hands?
No, Serena Deeb won on the. I think she bet Alison Kay on Power.
It was Thunder Rosa she beat for it, but I can't remember if it was on Power or if it was on Dynamite. I can't remember, but yeah, I agree completely there. And I'm going to predict Serena Deeb there as well. I think Riho is probably going back to Japan soon as well, or maybe she won't be. Maybe she will be staying now for the arena shows, especially considering they need more talent as well for them. But yeah, I'm going to predict the same there. Then we go on to the next one. I'm going to have to do this in reverse. The Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, will be taking on Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston in probably the only built-up match on the card. Well, no. Minus Stadium Stampede, the only built-up match on the card. It's not been built up great, really. It's been about trainers mostly. But I actually think this could be, a a decent match. I think it'd be better than we expect it to be honest with you. But I'm going to, and this is the one match of the night, actually, which I'm not certain on about who I think is going to win. But I'm going to go with the Young Bucks. What's your thoughts? Who's your prediction?
It's a hard one because I think I'd say the Young Bucks just simply because they've only turned heel recently and it will make no sense for them to lose the title at the start of their heel run. But I think Kingston's obviously going to take the pin because I can't see Moxley taking the second straight pin and loss in a row on a pay-per-view. The feud's been built okay. Obviously, it's a continuation of the Kenny feud, but just with the Bucks now with Kingston. But I don't know. I think the whole Moxley versus the Elite thing has run its course.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And the issue I have is, where does Moxley go from here if he loses? Where does he go? Because Miro is, the only option maybe as a TNT champion, but surely they're saving Miro for Cody, because otherwise that's the only big feud that Cody can have after the Nightmare Factory thing is over because of that stupid stipulation from before. So I don't think actually either of these scenarios are going to be done. I want to know that. I think the Young Bucks are just going to win, and that's the way it'll be. But I think that the best ways you can do this is to either have Moxley and Kingston win, right? And then for them, to have a tag team title run or whatever. The Young Bucks then to, slowly turn face again or something. I don't know. Or the other option, which I think is probably the better option. I'm saying this now, they have quite a few heels, but is for the Young Bucks to win, Eddie to take the pin, like you said, stand up afterwards, Jon Moxley turns heel on Eddie. And he's already a heel in Japan, and that's why, then it's slightly weird when they're doing the cross stories, because when he's on Strong, he's a heel. So it's interesting. That's the only thing I could possibly think of. And of course, going into the Nick Gage feud as well, he's the heel in that. So that's perhaps what I could see them doing, but it's a difficult one to book. And it's beginning to be the case with quite a few different talents now in AEW. As the question, builds, what do they do next? What are your thoughts on this one?
I think Moxley definitely needs a change anyway, because there's definitely no direction. I can't see them winning this, to be honest. So there's definitely no direction going forward. And maybe a Kingston or Moxley heel turn on Kingston, because Moxley is a better heel than a face. I think his face, he was a great face last run with the title, but I think he's kind of losing popularity now amongst some people because he's kind of the same character. Moxley was always very good at developing his character and having a more gritty, but now he seems to be going back to Wacky Dean again, I feel. Especially with the segment where they drove the bus into the car, they drove a truck into the van. I just got pure Dean Ambrose vibes off that. It completely ruined what he was trying to build up that year. Yeah. But being the Elite, they all ran it. You see, the being the Elite bit has actually pretty funny, to be fair. But Moxley heel turn, I think. But I don't know, maybe Kingston and Mox both turn heel. They just destroy the arena, and the two of them feel like the whole company's against them, and they just go after everybody, maybe, and the both as heels together.
We have two in heel tag teams, though, I think, because
true, very true.
How many top face tag teams do they have now?
I don't even know. I would have said STU is the big one, but they're split up now as well.
Yeah,
I don't need to have any Moxley and Kingston are literally the only ones I can think of. They have a Top Flight, but one of them's injured at the moment as well.
This is not great. Santana and Ortiz, because they're technically faces. I mean, I guess they're the only ones then. So if we turn, if we have another heel tag team in this division, you'll have Young Bucks, FDR, Mox, and Kingston as well, and then Private Party as well, Matt Hardy. They seem to just be. Hopefully they don't turn. I don't know. They've booked themselves into a corner again. AEW. Hopefully they pull something, out of their sleeve here. But I don't even know how to book this one. This is how much of a mess they've made of it, probably. But The reason I think there's a chance they'll win is because I could see Moxley and Kingston. So if Moxley and Kingston won, I could see them on the first live show facing FTR and losing on with fans. Then for FTR to have the match with Santana and Ortiz, which they've been holding out on for some reason, to have that in front of fans for the tag titles, FTR to win or whatever, and maybe have quite a bit of a long feud or whatever. They then run through the tag team division again. The Young Bucks turn face again eventually, realize that Don Callis has lied to them or whatever. It's stupid, but it's what they're gonna have to do eventually. And then they'll do with a crowd of, well, probably at least 6 months down the line, Bucks versus FTR2. That's my thought process as to maybe they could win, because they can't do Young Bucks versus FTR with them both being heels. But anyway, Brandon submitted a thing you're saying. Only Moxley AEW match I've liked was the one against Brody Lee last year. Now, I enjoyed the Omega match. I enjoyed the barbed wire one too until the end. But I enjoyed the Winter is Coming match. I enjoyed the Eddie Kingston match as well. But I can see what you mean. It's not like he's had any matches where you're like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Or it's not even like he had a lot better matches in WWE, to be honest with you as well. But moving on to the next one now. Sting and Darby Allin. Sting making his in-ring debut in AEW. And they will team to face Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page in a tag team match. This has been built okay as well. Sting's going to be in the ring live. Not something I particularly want to see for several reasons, mainly because of his health. I don't, he said that the cinematic match, caused him damage. Never mind an actual proper match there, but Sting and Darby have to win. What do you think?
I really don't get the point of putting Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page together, simply because Scorpio Sky left FCU to become a single star just to get into another tag team. It's just absolutely pointless.
Ethan Page left Impact for the exact same reason.
Yeah. I just can't see Sting and Darby losing, so it's yet another loss for Scorpio Sky, who's on. Well, fair, he won a ladder match and got literally nothing for it. I think he had a title match at Darby, and that was it. But what was the point of giving him that big win if you weren't going to do anything with it? Like, he just won the match and then lost the title match on TV.
I remember back in the day, Ethan Page messaged me asking for a shout out. But
Look at Mr. Big Boots over here, though.
It's crazy. But they only just popped back in my head now. But anyway, my only thought process with this tag team is that, they're going to be together heels. Ethan Page turns on Scorpio Sky, and Josh Alexander debuts. And they're like, well, I don't need you anymore. They have the North. And then Scorpio Sky can be a baby face again and have a singles run. That's my only thought process for it. But yeah, even that's a bit of a stretch. And the next match, the Pinnacle will face the Inner Circle in a Stadium Stampede match. And if the Inner Circle lose, they must disband as a team forever. It's a hard match to predict, this one. As in, if the Pinnacle lose, you've just essentially taken away, all the momentum they had from Blood and Guts match, and it's pointless. If the Inner Circle lose, I'd say, where do they all go from here? I think Santana and Ortiz would be potentially better off. But as for the rest of them, where do they go from here? Sammy Guevara will probably be okay, but I think he'll get lost in the mid-card for a couple of years. Chris Jericho, no clue. JK got absolutely no clue. It'll probably be that they keep JK and Jericho together. But what's your prediction?
Oh, I hate this. Like, all the prayers to get the Blood and Guts match has just gone out the window. Because what like a Blood and Guts is meant to be the finale of a feud. It's not a match to kick a feud off. Like it just I didn't like that at all. But I see the Inner Circle losing to the Pinnacle just because you can't have 50-50 booking, like, because that's just devalue both teams. I could argue it makes both teams look strong, but I think it takes away from the win that the Pinnacle got. And I think what it would lead to is the Pinnacle will win, and then Chris Jericho will resent the fact he made his group split up and challenge MJF to a one-on-one match and for Jericho's career on the line or something.
Yeah, that could actually happen as well, and maybe I think you got it bang on there. I think they'll do that the first Dynamite back with a live crowd. Jericho's career on the line against MJF. I think you've got it bang on. So yeah, I'm actually gonna copy you there, and I'm gonna say Pinnacle will take the win, and Brandon DQ isn't a fan of these Pinnacle and Inner Circle segments. I'm gonna be honest here. I've enjoyed the feud. I have up until Blood and Guts, and then since then it's just like, what's happened here then? They ruined it all. Damn it. But the next match is Miro or Dante Martin. If he wins, which he won't, Miro will be taking on Lance Archer for the AEW TNT Championship. And this could be a great match. Really could be. It's not been built in the slightest. And it's a bit of a heel versus heel match as well. Lance Archer's been booked horrifically in AEW. And he's such a good talent as well. But I'm going to go Miro. No way he's dropping the belt this early. I presume you're going the same?
I think Dante Martin's going to shock us all, Ben. You know, nah. I'm looking. The match will be great, but like, how many more matches can Lance Archer lose, man? You know, it's just.
Yeah.
I don't think he's actually won on pay-per-view, has he?
Yeah.
No,
I don't think he's won a big match.
He came in so hot as well, destroyed everybody. And since Cody literally cut the legs from underneath him and he hasn't crawled back up since.
Cody should not have won that match. I'm saying a year later, I'm still saying that was bad. But the next match is a match which has been built, but it was built up as Brian Cage turning face, and then they just abandoned that storyline 1 week with no explanation. And that match is Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage in a singles match. And this one's difficult, but surely Page has got to win because, you know, he's already lost once to him. But at the same time, it would not shock me if he lost again just so he dipped down the rankings slightly so they could, you know, prolong the Omega Hangman fight. Because, I mean, they could definitely prolong it no matter what to All Out, but I'd like them to wait for the next pay-per-view after that Full Gear, to be honest, as well. And have exactly a year apart from the two matches. And, you know, give it proper time to build up rather than, because I wouldn't even mind Omega being champion, to be honest, until November. But, yeah, so my final prediction is actually going to be Adam Page because I think they are going to do it All Out. What do you think, Karl?
I might be giving AEW too much credit here, but I feel like Page was number one when he lost to Bryan first, wasn't he? I think he was number one in the rankings before he lost to Bryan.
Yeah.
I think Page lost on purpose. He didn't want to go for the title to face Kenny, to go and realign with Delete again. I had a feeling, not that I know he got attacked from the match, but he was making mistakes. Hangman is very good at you. Usually in his matches, you won't make mistakes. But in that Cage match, Cage was always countering him, and Hangman seemed to be a little slow at Cage all the time. So I feel like he lost the match on purpose, so he wouldn't have to face Kenny because he doesn't want to fight Kenny. So I would go Brian Cage again because Cage will, I'd say, do the buckshot lariat, and he'll do that thing he did with Kenny where he kind of goes for it but doesn't, and then does it. But it'll counter into Brian Cage's X Factor or something, because I think Page's confidence isn't there yet.
What do you call it? I think if they've done that, bloody hell, that's good. But I don't think they have done it. But the Dark Order set, right, when Page was number one, you've been number one for, I can't remember who it was, somebody in the Dark Order said it, on Being the Elite. You've been number one for weeks, and yet you still haven't challenged Omega.
That's the line as well that got me thinking that. Like, you're number one for weeks, and Page is like, oh yeah, doesn't matter. He was writing it off. It's like, oh, maybe that is it, you know?
I think that's I 100% think that's why he didn't challenge when he was number one, but I don't think he lost deliberately. But maybe subconsciously or whatever, like what you were saying, I could see that happening. And if they've done that, then that is good. But having him lose twice to Brian Cage probably isn't the best thing either. Unless, right, okay, if they do a big redemption storyline for him, of him realizing, maybe getting not a manager, but again, like a mentor temporarily to come into the promotion. Like maybe he loses to Brian Cage next week on Dynamite. He comes out, whatever, or sad, drunk, whatever. Some legend then comes out. I don't know who you could do, but somebody comes out and basically just calls him out for it. Says that, you're not focused on it, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You're scared to face Kenny, blah, 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 blah. And from there, he works his way back, gets his confidence back, and then eventually takes out Cage, and then eventually gets Omega at full gear. If they did that, that would be fantastic. But I think he'll win here. Then he'll, over the next month or two, you build up the confidence to challenge Omega. They'll do that, and they'll do that at All Out. A bit early for my liking, but there we are. I think that's probably what they'll do. Now, the next one is the Casino Battle Royale. And there's just 1 billion people in this match. But the winner gets a future AEW Championship opportunity. And for that reason, even though it seems like it's too obvious. And they in Battle Royals, they never go for the obvious person. But I'm going to say Christian Cage purely because I think they'll do Omega versus Page on the first live show. Which I know I mentioned a lot of the time, but they're going to obviously make it big, the first arena show. And I think that's what they'll be doing there. Because, Omega's not going to be champion for much longer, likely. So they've got to do it now if they're going to do it. I doubt Christian Cage, wants to be slowly built up to the top and bury everyone beneath him. So I reckon they'll want to do that title match pretty quickly. And that's why I reckon that Christian Cage will be the victor here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think it's definitely Christian as well, especially when his AEW Dynamite was he faced Kenny and called them out and said, I'll see you eventually. But I think they've already planted the seeds for that match, and I can't see, as you said, I can't see Christian wrestling a year, beating everybody and get the belt. So I think, as you said, first live show, a full capacity crowd, Omega versus Christian's a really good. It's probably like one of those TV specials, but New Year's Dash type of thing, and be a really good match.
Yeah, I think it would be the perfect time to do it, really, because it wouldn't bury anyone else as well. Yet it would give us that dream match while we can still do it. Now, the next match, Cody Rhodes will face Anthony Ogogo in the best build-up feud of the year. No. Come on, Anthony Ogogo. I think Cody's winning here. I can't see him putting Ogogo over. Ogogo should win. He should. Give him a big win here, would push him to the moon, and then he could lose. He could lose to a big baby face in a feud or whatever, and it wouldn't harm him at all. Start of his career, whatever. But it would elevate him straight away. Now, I can't see that happening. I think Cody's going to win again. Lance Archer Part 2. But what do you think, Carl?
Yeah, Cody's obviously winning. The American Dream's coming back. He's hardly going to go. The American Dream's coming back, and then Dynamite. The American Dream's dead. I lost. Sorry. So yes, there's definitely going to be Cody, but Cody Rhodes is the biggest fool in wrestling. He's my favorite start of AEW, but the fact he just limited himself to a certain level, but he's above that level that he's limited himself to when he wants to be, because his wrestling style is a main event 2000/80 style of wrestling, so he just limited himself to the mid card, which he's not really,
Something tells me Pierce isn't a fan of AEW. He sent
got that vibe,
Cody. against an up-and-coming talent. Of course, he's booking himself to win. Oh, gosh. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any deliberate thing there. So TK actually basically books the Time Ends division anyway. But the next match, I think we are getting a title change. Hikaru Shida will defend against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, for the AEW Women's Championship. And I think Britt Baker is going to win. If she doesn't win, that's outrageous. Nobody can take it off Shida at that point. It's got to be Britt Baker, most predictable match on the card. But it is the right choice to, have a job at the Britt Baker. What are your do you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Britt Baker is the star of the division at the moment. She was originally meant to be the star when it first begun, but no one really took to her as her face. But as a heel, she's been absolutely fantastic, and she definitely levels above everybody else in that women division in terms of star power. So the division definitely needs her. And I find AEW are doing a better job at the women division. They just need a proper face of the division now, and I think Sheeta did a great job, great matches. They just didn't build her up enough. But the build up Baker now where she feels like the star, so definitely Baker.
Yeah, I actually agree there. And then going into the main event, I'm just gonna put it bluntly. On pay-per-view, this is the worst main event AEW have given us, and it's the first event with full capacity fans, and they've given us this. They could have given us Jamaica Pack, which I said months ago. I thought they were building it, and then they just paused it, left it there, then decided to pick it up a couple of weeks before the pay-per-view and throw in Orange Cassidy. Kenny Omega will be defending his AEW Championship against Pac and Orange Cassidy in a triple threat match. Omega is definitely winning. I'm not excited for the match at all. I think it'll be okay. And Orange Cassidy in the main event. I love Orange Cassidy, but he shouldn't be in the main event. And I feel I'm just not excited for this at all. Are you excited, or do you agree?
I agree with you. There's only one reason why they've done this match, and that was the last full capacity show what AEW did with a pay-per-view was Pac versus Orange Cassidy, and the crowd went bananas and they loved it, and they went bought men. So because to have a full capacity crowd again, they're like, oh, if we just throw these two guys in there but add Kenny, we're going to get the same type of reaction. But I generally don't think they would, because Pac they've done terribly with Pac over the last 6 months. When he first came in, he was beating Kenny, he was doing it unbelievably. Then obviously the pandemic happened, but since he can return from the pandemic, they valued him. Like he's nearly, I see Pac as the same stature he was at Neville now at the moment, and then all of a sudden, like you can't go from being in the tag division straight away to being a number one contender. Like that makes no sense, and I hate AW's reasoning behind them being number one is, oh, well, he's winning on Dark. Like, but then show us that. Like, show us him winning on Dark. Have a quick minute recap of highlights on Dynamite. Oh, this will happen on Dark. Pac's picked up wins. Don't be expecting. You can't expect all the viewers to watch all of your content. Just fill them in every week. Like WWE, we all argue, or WWE always tell us what happened, but then they're relying on viewers to don't watch their show. Like they do a good that aspect, we'll give it to them. I think AEW need to show us more of Dark Innovation on Dynamite, even if it's just like a minute recap, because to me it feels like Orange Cassidy, last time I seen him win a match was against Jericho, and Pac, I can't tell you Pac's last big win. Probably it was against Kenny and All Out last year. Was Pac's last big win. Now all of a sudden he's in a title match.
Eddie Kingston, probably. That's the only other one I can think of.
Yeah.
But I know this isn't going to go down well. I know it's not going to go down well for a second, what I'm about to say. But Orange Cassidy is fantastic at what he does, undoubtedly. He does the role perfectly. Great, entertainer, whatever. But that character should be nowhere near the main event or the top of the rankings. I don't want to go as far as it's an embarrassment to professional wrestling. I don't want to say that. But if somebody who isn't an AEW, to be honest, if a WWE fan who doesn't watch AEW sees that, they are just going to think, what is this joke company? And again, Orange Cassidy in the ring is fantastic, but it's just the gimmick itself, right? That's specifically what I'm talking about here. He does the role fantastic. I'm sure the gimmick itself, it's not a main event gimmick. It's not even a... No, it is. It's a mid-card gimmick, right? And not as in like TNT title gimmick. It's just a mid-card gimmick. Nowhere near the top of the rankings, nowhere near a title. He's just there, entertain, face them. Even like not even have that many singles matches. The one against Pac was perfect because that type of thing getting to heal like that is great. But when you're doing it all seriously and everything, it doesn't work. It's a bit embarrassing. It's a bit insulting to the viewer, and it's fun for the live crowd, I guess. But at home, it does not transfer nearly as well. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of his. No, that's a lie. I'm a fan of his, but I'm not the biggest fan of him in that position. Would you like to add anything to that?
I completely agree with you. Orange Cassidy, he's rather the match before the main event or the opening match, Because I remember he was the perfect position to carry that Pac match, because I think we had the tag match, and then we had the main event of Moxley and Jericho, and Pac and Cassidy were in the middle of that, and that's perfect because that got the crowd so hyped up then for the main event. I think that was perfect positioning, and I think Tony Khan is just a numbers man. And last year around the Jericho feud, Orange Cassidy I think his segments were the most viewed segments on TNT. So they were like, "Oh, he's a star." Then they're pushing him, and then when you push him too much, you expose the gimmick as well. It works so well because he doesn't care. A fella that perceives it doesn't care shouldn't be in the main event because he doesn't care if he's the opening match or the last match,
Yeah, and he started. I don't actually. This might just be on being the elite. I know. I'm confident it's on Dynamite. He started to talk a little bit recently. Am I right in saying that?
He said a few. I think in the Jericho feud, he said a few. He says a few words here and there, yeah, but he's not completely silent. No.
Yeah, no. I thought a couple of weeks ago. This might have been on being the elite, to be honest. I thought a few weeks ago on an AEW, we started kind of bit of a promo in an interview about Kenny or something. I'm just like, don't go there. Don't leave him silent or a couple of words at the max. Like in the Jericho feud, they actually did that well, I actually thought. Yeah. But yeah, it's disappointing to say the least. Because I thought, right, when he first signed with the company, I was annoyed. I'll straight up say it. I thought this is the downfall of the company. They're just signing, comedy wrestlers now. He comes in, has that match with Pac. And even before that, right, when they were having matches, and I remember they had like a Falls Count Anywhere match, something, the Young Bucks, and they opened the door at one point, and he was just in some closet or something, and that was great. And him just as a manager role, and then he had that match with Pac, which was brilliant. And I thought, hang on a second, I was completely wrong about this. They're using this guy perfectly, and now they just oversaturated him. Put him in the main event where he shouldn't be, in my opinion. It's annoying, and especially when they could have done Omega Pac too, and the crowd would have been behind Pac, because Omega's a mega heel right now, and Pac's not a massive heel. He kind of turned face in the Kingston feud, and so yeah, I think that's what they should have done, but they have not done it. It's still better than Omega versus Cassidy. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not excited for it. The weakest main event AEW pay-per-views have had to date, easily, not even close. But overall, are you excited? Oh, right, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Do you think that Bucks and Moxley and Kingston being at main event instead of that, because that's more built and stuff, and that was the main event last week on Dynamite as well, over the title match?
Perhaps.
Because
if they could have won an angle if they do that.
Yeah, definitely. But I forgot AEW's on Friday as well, so I suppose all that happens on Friday, no?
Yeah. I mean, I think your Moxley heel turn, that wouldn't super surprise me, I guess, if they did do it in the main event. Or maybe if they were doing Baker Shida in the main event, they'd probably have announced it weeks before and hyped it up.
Yeah.
But I know you actually might be bang on right there. Or, yeah. You're probably right. It wouldn't surprise me too much if they did. No, surely not. Surely they wouldn't do a Go-Go Cody in the main event. Surely not.
No, they can't. They can't.
But yeah, hopefully not that. But yeah, no, I mean, I could see that happening too. And nothing's really been built that much for the show in general. But if they did main event, something big would have to be happening. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the Omega match main event and probably Andrade attacking afterwards or something. That's my prediction for the show. Right. Okay then. So final thoughts on the show. What's your excitement levels for it compared to past AEW shows?
I was going to say, compared to past AEWs, the least one I'm excited for. And as Pierce knows there in the comments, and the biggest AEW mark going, but just the build for this show hasn't been great at all. And I'm excited for 3 matches, I can tell you. I'm excited for the tag match, Sheeta and Baker, and the pre-show. And other than that, I don't care. And that's very sad considering January I was singing AEW's praises.
Yeah, and I basically completely agree. But to be honest, there's one reason I'm excited for this show. A single reason, and that is a full capacity crowd. That's the only reason I'm excited for it. That atmosphere, which we've all been wanting for ages now. We had it at WrestleMania, even with not a full capacity crowd, but a full capacity crowd at Daily's Place. It's going to be insane. But the actual show itself, I'm not hyped for at all. It's literally it's bad when the crowd is the draw. Like the thing that's wanting me to buy the pay-per-view is the fact they have a crowd, which it's not great at all. But great. P.S. Now I said, don't worry, Carl. Take over in your house soon, and we'll show you how it's done right.
Won't be in my house. I won't be in my house. You say that much.
Oh gosh, well, thank you for tuning in today, everyone, and thank you for joining me, Carl. Great episode as always, guys. We'll be back same time next week where we'll go through Double or Nothing. Hopefully it's better than we expect it to be. Thank you for spending your evening or afternoon in America with us. See you guys.